I think you mentioned it after the Stanford game, and Coach Kelly mentioned it yesterday about maybe too much offensive inventory and the advantage of being able to play free and easy. Can you speak to that and the importance of that as a guy that's running the offense?
Yeah, we have so many talented skill positions across the field that it's hard not to go into a week trying to get the ball to each and every guy in multiple looks and multiple situations. And with the smart kids that we have on this team and the great coaches who are coming from a bunch of different styles of offenses from the past, everyone wants to come in and put together these great looks and these great ideas about a specific defense and a specific style. And on Tuesday, that's great to check those all out. But I think there's an understanding now that we have to figure out what we are doing well and put an emphasis on that. In the first half of the season, there are some specific looks where we're more successful than others, and we got to make sure that we put the emphasis on those looks so that we can sustain drives and continue to have continued success on offense.
Hey, Coach Kelly's quote was, "Let's practice what we're good at, and let's be better and execute." Without giving away secrets or your game plan, what are you, and what do you feel the offense is good at?
I think the first half of Stanford is a pretty good example of how the offense can go from a solid run game and then mix in some passes here and there. Obviously, the first drive wasn't pretty with two bad balls on my part, but from there we were able to establish a great run game. We were able to throw some quick game off of it and then take a couple shots as well. The ultimate goal for us right now is to stay ahead of the sticks. We're getting into way too many, third down situations where there's a lot more pressure than there ever should be in the beginning of the game. If we can come out with a stronger start, hopefully we can, stay out of these fourth quarter situations that we've been in week and week out.
Is there a particular down where you're more likely to have too much inventory?
First and second down is a position where you can literally call whatever you want. As an offensive coordinator, your mind is everywhere. You have your game plan. You have, your starters and the openers that you want to try to get out of the way in the first half. But then from there, once again with the talent that we have, you can go in any direction with that. And I think that once we do figure out where our strengths are, and which I think we have during this bye week, we'll be able to go back to those plays where we know we're going to have constant success. Maybe shy away from taking too many shot plays in the first half or whatever it is. The coaching staff is figuring that out themselves. It's more along the lines of just making sure that we can find what we do well and continue to do it consistently.
This past week, you practiced during the bye week. You practiced on Tuesday. That was your last day.
Yep.
And then you came back when?
We came back Sunday and got a little shake through on Sunday and an extra practice Monday.
So that's a little bit longer than normal that you've taken off or that coach has given you off, or is that about right?
I've only been here a couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, based upon the years you've been here.
We got a day or two extra off to kind of reset ourselves for sure.
Do you? Obviously, it's important. It's important to have that time whether you're winning or losing, right? You need that downtime away from football.
Right. This is a long season. With the schedule that we play and the constant big games that we put ourselves into, it's always nice to step away and kind of remove yourself and evaluate who you are, where the team is, and make the proper adjustments to move forward and be successful.
Do you remove yourself do you force yourself to remove yourself from football for 4 days or so?
You can't be too far away. Obviously we still have some great games to play in and a half of a season to go through. So you move yourself away in a sense of physically, getting off your feet and getting your body back to where you want it to be. But mentally, you have to stay locked in. It's hard not to catch the Miami-Virginia Tech game last week. Do some evaluation on that part. Different guys do different things. For me, it was step away in the beginning of the week and then start gradually getting back into it by watching some film on Miami and getting some extra time with them.
Do you still condition? Do you lift? Do you throw it all during that time?
Yeah, I threw once. We have a packet that gets sent in from our strength and conditioning staff to get at least 1 or 2 workouts in while you're away, just to make sure your body's moving, so you don't come back and take that extra practice and put yourself a step behind rather than getting the step forward that we want.
Can I ask, did you go home? Did you go can you say where you went?
Yeah, I just went home. I went home. There's a lot of guys out there who plan trips away, and I was gonna try my hardest to step away, and had a trip to go down south and be on the beach or something. But it was best for me and my family for me to be home and to focus up on sitting on the couch for once, rather than having forced relaxation and going through the whole traveling situation. It was best for me to just step back and go home.
A little bit of interaction with your teammates, I'm sure.
Yeah. The guys who I'm tight with, we texted consistently. Figured out where our mindset needs to be when we come back.
Nobody went home with you?
No. I went home by myself.
All right. That's my 20 questions. Thank you.
Didn't get a chance to talk to you after the last game. Unusual for you. Were you frustrated, upset? What was the feeling after that?
I mean, we lost again. There's the only feeling that you have right there is anger. It was a rough game for me. Obviously, very interesting. Getting benched at one point in the game, playing well at one point in the game. A lot of highs and lows, and it was a nice opportunity to step away once again in this little off break to really evaluate the season as a whole, that game, and make the proper mental adjustments to come back and be successful in the second half of the season.
It seems like you put a lot of responsibility on yourself. Do you feel like maybe you're trying to do too much at times? No,
I'm just trying to execute what those guys are telling me to execute, and wasn't able to do that well against Stanford, obviously, in the beginning of the second half. This quarterback position here, it gets a lot of responsibility, and I fully take that on. And if you try to do any more than what they're giving you, then it's way too much. So right now my mentality is just executing what Coach Kelly's putting together upstairs with, Coach Stanford and Coach Denbrock, and just trying to be successful. There's only one goal here right now, and that's to get a win, and that's where our motivation sits. And that's where my motivation sits. Whatever I can do to just focus up on those responsibilities that I'm given to be successful, to try to get that win.
Obviously, the game at North Carolina State was an anomaly just because of the conditions, but the offense has struggled a bit the past 2 games. What do you think you have to do to get back to where you were, when you were scoring 30 points a game?
Like you said, the North Carolina State game was obviously not the best situation for us to go out and execute. Stanford's first half was pretty good for us. We started relying on that run game to get us ahead of the chains. We saw veterans like Tarian stepping out there and making big plays in that second drive, kind of spreading the ball all over the place. So there's things to learn from there. Second half, I personally played bad, and that's on me. That's the offense didn't come out and just completely go away from what we did in the first half. I just made a couple bad throws that put us in a lull at the time. But as an offense, I think that we have enough on tape, and we have an identity, and we know who we are, and we know what we do well. And I think that all our emphasis now is to focus on those things we're doing well, instead of having that pessimistic mindset of seeing all the negative that's happened maybe in the last 2 or 3 games.
And as us watching, it's hard to tell always, what goes wrong in a play, because you don't know whether a receiver, kind of route short or what happened. But if you, looking back, see maybe a common theme when you have thrown interceptions, have you been trying to throw too tightly, or any sort of a common theme among the interceptions? Each throw is different, obviously, and they all have their own reasons behind it, whether it be fundamentally my throw, bad decisions, time and place in the game. I think that in the last couple interceptions I've thrown are me taking high risk throws in times where I shouldn't. When you're at 10-7 against Stanford, just through one pick that turns into 7 points, you're out there trying to do whatever it takes to get your team back in the lead. And on 4th and long,
and then the rockets and the bullets are flying at you. I'm just trying to make an extra play, and you predict a dig route a little early. Ball sails on you as you get hit by contact. Ball goes a little high, and it turns into another interception. So with that, it's high risk, high reward in that situation. And I took in the last couple games, I'm taking a little, maybe too many risks in those positions where it might be best for me to just, allow the play to develop, maybe take a check down, or if need be, take a sack, or try to put yourself in a position to end a drive and a kick.
Thank you.
DeShone, how do you mentally, emotionally, confidence-wise, how do you recover from going through what you did in the Stanford game and not having the results? Like you say, you had a good first half, and then the second half, and Malik comes in, and then they put you in for the last drive, and it comes up empty. How do you emotionally recover?
Yeah, you look forward. You don't buy in all that. You don't sit there and dwell on all of that. There's so much season left here for us to go out and prove ourselves and do whatever we're supposed to do to win games. And to be looking in the rearview mirror would be bad on my part, because obviously there's been a lot of ups and downs. We're off to a rough start. We're getting to the back half of the season. We have nothing but opportunities in front of us. So why not focus up on those opportunities, be optimistic, figure out what I can do to better myself as a teammate, as a player, and do whatever I can to focus in on the rep in front of me. There's been a lot that's gone on in this last 2 months, and as a player, I think that it's learning experiences I'll be able to build from. But for now, it's all about what can we do to beat Miami? What can I do to be a better player today? What can I do to be a better teammate today to help Notre Dame go out and try to get a win?
In terms of beating Miami, how do you counteract their aggressive defense with the sacks and tackles for loss that they have?
You got to match their intensity. There are a bunch of athletes out there who are all fast, strong, and every last person out there is a big play type of player. And we all completely understand that. And in order to go out and be successful against a defense like that, we have to come out with that same aggressiveness, that same confidence in ourselves to be the better player and to beat the guy in front of you. Intensity is going to be everything. This game obviously has a little bit of history to it with the Catholics versus convicts, and we understand that they're in a position where they're looking to just get a couple wins on their belt, and we're in a position where we're looking to get a win for ourselves. So if we can match their intensity, buy into what we do, execute what the game plan is set out for us to do, then you can become very successful against a team who's out there with a bunch of athletes like Miami has.
Will you be looking more of a quick release type of thing to rather short passes rather than, making yourself vulnerable, waiting back in the pocket, or?
There's time and places for everything. You got to react to whatever the defense is doing, and if they want to send the house, then you got to be able to throw hot throws behind them. If they're going to sit back and run drop 8, you got to be able to also check the ball down. There's a time and place for everything, as long as you're counteracting what the defense is doing, and you're doing what you do well, from the run game to the pass game, and making sure they're complementing each other. Then you'll be able to find sustainable success.
And the one thing you mentioned about having your identity, the offense is, what would you say is that identity, the thing that always works?
Our identity is that we have athletes all the way across the board. We have 3 great running backs. We have receiver depth. We have a great offensive line who's really figuring it out in the last couple of weeks. And with that, it's time to spread the ball around and keep pushing forward. I believe that our offense is one of the best in the country, no matter what the statistics say. And all it takes is for us to buy into that, have the confidence to do what we do, and make sure that we're out there executing the game plan. The only thing that's stopping us in these last 7 games is ourselves. We're putting ourselves in a position to win the game in the fourth quarter each game, and lack of execution is the only thing that's stopping us from winning those. So if we can just buy in, be focused, be disciplined, and continue to do what we do and do it well, we're going to be fine, and we're going to win some games at the end of this season.
DeShone, yesterday, Coach Kelly said he was disappointed that things got to a point where Jack Swarbrick had to give him a vote of confidence last week. As players, is that disappointing that it's gotten to the point that you have to hear the same thing about your head coach?
Yeah, that's a lot about. I mean, that has a lot to do with how we're playing, and obviously we would never want to be in that situation. We could never really predict ourselves to be in this position at the beginning of the season, but we are who we are. We're a 2-5 team off a bye week, looking to catch lightning in a bottle and get things rolling. We're completely bought into Coach Kelly. He's obviously has the experience. He's a winning coach. He knows how to win, and he's going to figure out whatever it takes to win. And as long as we continue to have the mentality that, he is the successful coach that he is, and trust in that, we're going to be fine. We've been all over the place in this first half of the season. From different motivational speeches, from a different mindset each week, trying to figure out what's the best way of getting a win and doing whatever we can. But from here on out, it's just about having a good time, taking this opportunity to play for Notre Dame and doing whatever you can to bring home wins. Once again, Coach Kelly is someone that we all have completely bought into, and we all trust, and we're all committed to. And as long as we continue to have that mindset, we will be successful in this last half of the season.
Hey, DeShone, you kind of touched on this a minute ago, but have you kind of gone back and looked at all of your interceptions this whole season? And if so, what have you learned from just kind of all of them?
I've not. Once again, my mindset's forward. We make those adjustments at the end of each week, and as soon as that game is over, in that 24-hour grace period, we push it behind us and move forward. There's a different situation, a different scenario for each of those throws that I could sit here and try to justify or sit here and say why they were as bad as they were. But there's no point. The only thing on our mind right now is Miami in front of us and how we can figure out our way to put ourselves in a position to be the team we know we are for the second half of the season. We're all kind of viewing this as an opportunity to put all that behind us and look at this as a 5-game season and see how well we can do and try to surprise ourselves with the success levels that we're going to have.
And one more thing, you kind of grew up a Notre Dame fan, right? Or
not necessarily. I wasn't a big college football fan growing up, so I didn't really watch much. In Ohio, you had to choose a team for the Ohio State-Michigan game, and I chose Michigan over Ohio State, and that was it. I wasn't really a college football fan from there. Quite a few of my friends were Notre Dame fans, so I was able to watch Notre Dame and respect them growing up, but I didn't necessarily watch too much college football.
I was just going to ask what you knew, because I know obviously none of you guys were, I wasn't either, alive when Notre Dame and Miami played those historic games, but if you ever watched any old film or saw any of those games or what you knew about that rivalry.
Well, you can obviously assume that with all the history that Miami's has with the U and all the aggressive football that they played in the past and the tradition and the winning records that we've had here, that those two historic programs definitely collided, and we're looking forward to going out there and representing our side of that quote-unquote rivalry as we step in against Miami this weekend.